So here's the deal. Over the weekend, I went to this little tiny comic book show in New Jersey. It was held at like this church slash recreation center. And I would have shot footage while I was in there, but it was so intimate and small that there was no way to do that without like shoving my camera in total strangers' faces. So it just didn't seem like the right thing to do. But more to the point, I did pick up a whole lot of comic books while I was there. I found one vendor specifically who had like 5 or 6 long boxes full of comic books that were priced at 50 cents each or 100 books for $40, which is the deal I took. Whenever I go to a comic book show, that is exactly what I'm looking for. A cheap long box stuffed with old, unloved comic books. I am not a collector of comics anymore, not even really a reader of comic books anymore. But what I still am is very passionate about old comic book advertisements. So with 100 books from the 80s and 90s, I found quite a few good ones. So when I got home with my 100 books, I separated them into 3 piles. This first pile here, these are all the books that had interesting ads in them. Eventually I will pull and scan all of them and I'll use them in Dinosaur Dracula articles, or maybe I'll just post a few on social media, I don't know. But just to give you one example, this is an old issue of Excalibur, I think it's from '89, and on the back cover is an ad for a Nintendo cereal system. That was the Ralston cereal where you got these separate bags for Mario and Zelda. Classic. So then we have this middle pile. These were all the kind of dud books. They didn't have any interesting ads in them. And if I'm being real, they weren't comics that I am probably ever going to read. So these will just kind of collect dust in a corner for 5 years before my next purge. And then we have the third pile. Now, these are books that did not have ads in them, or at least ads that I thought were worth pulling, but they are all the same books that I would read and will read, and honestly probably have already read 100 times over. Mainly, they are copies of the official handbook of the Marvel Universe, which I have loved forever. I think these came out in the mid-'80s, maybe the late '80s, I don't know, but I've certainly been buying them that long. And basically what you have in these books are character biographies for virtually every Marvel comic books character that existed up until that point. If you remember the old Marvel Universe trading cards, how on the backs they gave you like the character's strength level, their magic superpowers, and like a brief biography, these are like expanded versions of that. Oh look, flipped right to the page with Thanos. So perfect. Okay, now let's get back to this pile. This is the one that had all of the advertisements. Now, I usually cover these old comic book ads in written form in Dino Drac articles, but since we have a few minutes, I thought I would show you just 5 of them in this video, kind of give you some idea of why I am so maniacal about collecting these. They are such perfect little windows into decades past. So yeah, let's do that. Let's go through 5 of them right now. So the first ad comes from Sandman Mystery Theater number 1. This is from April of '93. And right on the inside cover, you will see an ad for Fire in the Sky. That was the 1993 movie about an alien abduction, allegedly based on a true story.
Fire in the Sky, based on the Travis Walton case, rated PG-13, starts Friday, March 12th at theaters everywhere.
Okay, if you've never seen this movie, gonna keep it real. A lot of it is maybe a little dull. At least it's dull if you're expecting, 2 hours of aliens. But once they show you the flashback scene where you see what happens to this guy when he was abducted, oh my God, one of the all-time scariest scenes in any movie I've seen. For people around my age, it's kind of like a rite of passage where that scene with these Snoke-like space aliens doing experiments on this poor guy, shoving like weird muddy jelly in his mouth. It was like absolute nightmare fuel. Everyone around my age slept with the lights on for like 2 months because of this movie. Second ad comes from Elf Quest number 4, which was published in November of 1985. Here you will see the classic Reese's Pieces alien. Don't think he had a name, but he was this blue, semi-furry, amazing monster who appeared in so many different comic books back then, and even a few TV commercials.
You want Reese's Pieces, do you?
Ah, Reese's Pieces.
So the situation, as you could probably guess, is that because E.T. became so synonymous with Reese's Pieces, they figured why not create our own alien and keep that train rolling. So they came up with this guy who is amazing. And I'm serious, for a year or two, he was in pretty much every comic book. There had to have been at least a dozen comic book ads starring this guy. He had some clout back then. Third ad is from December of 1989. This is the New Mutants number 84. And you'll see here that we have an ad for Ralston's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle cereal. Classic. This was the one that had various Ninja Turtle themed marshmallows and crunchy ninja nets, which were kind of like bootleg checks. To be honest, this wasn't my favorite cereal in terms of taste, not by a long shot, but how do you turn down the official Ninja Turtle cereal in 1989 when pretty much anything that had a Ninja Turtles logo on it was a must-buy? I got this cereal all the time back then. I'm sure a lot of you did too. We all remember when they used to come with those turtle-shaped cereal bowls, shrink-wrapped right to the boxes. Man, Ralston was not really all that great at creating amazing flavors, but they knew how to brand their cereals and they knew how to attach really great freebies to them. So yeah, this was an all-timer. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cereal.
Ninja Turtle cereal is part of your complete breakfast.
And then we have the Comet Man number 4, published in May of 1987. Right on the back cover, you will see an ad for Bonkers Ugly Balls. Yes, Bonkers Ugly Balls. Before I tell you what an ugly ball was, let me just remind you about Bonkers. Somewhere in the area of like a Starburst or a Mamba candy.
Bonkers. Bonks you out.
Some candy.
Every kid I knew, Bonkers was like their favorite candy back then. I still have no idea how they didn't survive. But in addition to just being awesome candy, they had a few great promos, including this one, where you could send in your proofs of purchase to get a free Ugly Ball, which was very obviously based on Mad Balls, those toys from Amtoy, which were popular starting in 85 and I think through like 86. So they were a little late to the game to have these come out in 87, but wow, what a freebie. The irony is that they cost way more than any Mad Ball does now. I think they go for like several $100s. If they even pop up on eBay, it's very rare that they do anymore. To be honest, this is actually one of my bucket list collectibles. I did not have an Ugly Ball as a kid. I never had one as a collector, and it's still something I really, really want. Okay, the last ad I'm going to show you today is from September of 1989, and it is from this book. I don't know if you pronounce this as Ninth Man or Ninth Man, I don't know. He's the ultimate ninja, apparently. I have literally never heard of this person or this comic book until this weekend. But yeah, Ninth Man. Inside, you will find an ad for the Olympic Sales Club. Oh boy, if you have ever read a comic book, especially one from the 80s and 90s, you are very familiar with this company. I was a member of the team back then, so I am intimately acquainted with the Olympic Sales Club. Basically, if you joined up, what they had you do was walk around your neighborhood trying to sell these overpriced rolls of wrapping paper and I think some stationery items. And for every item you sold, you either got $1 or a point towards one of these fabulous prizes. Now, dollar is nice, but when you were a kid looking at this prize sheet, obviously your goal was to win something from this. So for example, if you sold 19 items, you would get a Coca-Cola themed telephone. Or if you sold 50 items, you could get a Sport Fun super scooter. Or if you sold like 36 items, you can get a tent. 8 items, you can get some records. 26 items, a keyboard, stuff like that. In practice, it was really hard to get one of the good things because, let me tell you, I was a member of this team, like I said. I went all around to my family and all around the neighborhood trying to sell these stupid rolls of wrapping paper, and my batting average was pretty poor. It was tough to convince people to buy those things, but as I recall, I think I sold around 13 items, which was enough to get this little tiny like bicycle alarm light that went on your handlebars. It was this piss poor item that never stayed on right, but I was so proud of that thing. And I guess being a member of the Olympic Sales Club team would qualify as my first job. So I think that's all I'm going to do for this video. Like I said, I just kind of wanted to get my feet wet with doing YouTube again, break the seal, make it a little easier to come back and do a bigger video, hopefully very soon. Though I will say that if there's interest in me doing more retrospectives on old comic book ads in video form, I am game to do that. So you could just let me know in the comments if you're interested in seeing that. In the meantime, I hope you're all doing well, and I will see you back on YouTube very soon.